Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Kevy's One Stop Repairs, Airgun Mods by KNS. Today we're going to talk to you about how to properly size a socket to a fastener so you don't cause any damage to your tool or your fastener. At least we hope you don't cause any damage. Anyway, we're going to take a look at a couple different bolts. We're also going to talk about metric, SAE, and just give you some info. So this bolt here is a fairly heavy duty bolt. Okay, I've got a wing nut on it, but you can use a regular nut. You know, there's no, math to this. It's however you're fastening this thing on, whether you use a wing nut or a regular nut. So on this end, however, we want to size it up. 12, 13, skip to the 15, 14 is a good fit. Now we're talking 14 millimeter here. Now, what you're looking for not always will be the up and down play movement here, but what you're really concerned about is this side-to-side movement of the fastener walls to the fastener. You want little to no movement, okay? That's got to be as perfect a fit as possibly can in order to properly function without damaging the fastener head, okay? So 14 is definitely an ideal fit, we're sure, right? Well, let's verify that. The equivalent to a 14 millimeter in SAE is 9/16. So there's our 9/16. First thing you're going to notice is a ton of play. Now that's unacceptable. Second thing you're going to notice goes in way too easy. And if you do the Rocky movement here, you can see it's very, very sloppy fit. So this is likely, if there's any torque to be really applied to this, I'm definitely going to damage the back of my fastener. And once you damage the back of that fastener, forget about using the proper size on it after that, because it's just going to be all golden mold and oversized now and won't fit. And then you're going to have problems. And then there's no fixing that other than a new fastener. Our next one's actually it's an 11 millimeter. So this is our 11, and this fits right in. Acceptable play. Let's look at the walls. It's very good. Little to no rock. Virtually almost nothing here. Which is good. The equivalent to an 11 millimeter is a 7/16. Our 7/16. Nope, wrong one. That's 3/8, 7/16. Again, ton of play. You're definitely getting the hint. These are metric fasteners that I'm playing with here, not standards. Okay. Slop. I mean, in a pinch, if you didn't have the 11, you could use the 7/16. Because this is a very low torque bolt, so it should never be put on with any kind of high torque, so you could probably get away with it, but I still prefer the right tool for the job. It's just the way I am. Now here I'm going to throw you for a loop. This is not a 10 mil precisely, but it is not a 3/8 equivalent at all. It's probably about a 9.9, which I don't happen to have, and I'd have to see if I can actually order one, but I really don't need it. But the thing is, if I need to use a socket on this, I can get away with the 10 on there. It doesn't have a ton of play, okay? So we should be all right. And it's a high tensile bolt, so it's not going to damage that easy. And the chances of this being on with a lot of excessive torque is pretty darn slim, okay? Just because of looking at it, the kind of thread pitch that it has on it, and the application it would generally be used in for this type of a bolt, I could get away with the 10. Now, like I said, the 3/8 is the equivalent, right? Well, not in this case, because the nut on it is too big for the 3/8. And the next size up, of course, 7/16. Way too sloppy. Way too sloppy. So there's no in between there. So let's check our quarter drive sockets, see what we got. Nope. And nope. Nope. And that's a 10 mil. And we got nothing. So we got nothing that's going to actually work with this other than the 10 mil should work. Now, the one thing you might notice about this, it has an Allen key head inside. As long as there's no damage to that inside, we can use an Allen key on here. Which tells me it's a low torque situation bolt, but high tensile to put up with weight. So we can use a 4 millimeter in there. Again, it's a metric thing, you know. And you'll know how they fit. If it's too sloppy, don't use it. Especially Allen keys, because you can damage your Allen keys real easy. So that's a good proper fit there for the Allen hole. So that means that this bolt here was originally fastened with the Allen head here and a wrench at this end, and then that's how the torque was applied. And it could be applied with a lot of pressure because it has teeth that grab here that will grab into the wood or the metal that it's being fastened up against. It's kind of like a locking washer system almost. Okay, so it's a totally different type of bolt altogether. So that's probably why, even though it's got the option for possible socket use, it was actually done like this. And then once this got sucked in a bit, then you could just even apply a wrench lightly there and just continue torque, 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 and then it wouldn't slip. So different little setup, a real thrower into the mix there. So sometimes you might get into a situation where you have to use a metric that's a little teeny sloppy, or take a look at that fastener. Is that got a Torx? Has it got a square? Has it got a, Torx or Allen head? You know, if that's got a center like that, chances are you're going to need to use either an Allen or a Torx with it, and then the wrench or socket underneath. So, you know, that's just the kind of bolt that is. So otherwise, if it didn't have that, it would properly fit either the 10 mil or the 3/8. So, you know, and I don't have a lot of SAE stuff. I've got more metric stuff than anything, but I mean, hey, Canada, we're into the metric system, right? So, but we still get both. And every time I work on cars, I get both SAE and metric in cars, which is kind of really crazy. But that's just the way things are done. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, whatever, you don't feel free to ask. The only other thing I wanted to touch on before we end this video is about multi-point sockets. Now, multi-point sockets, you don't ever use them unless it's a multi-point fastener or like a square head fastener or a similar type of fastener that a multi-point will fit. Never use multi-point fasteners on 6-point heads. It's just a big no-no because you're going to cause damage to your fastener. You know, especially if there's some torque being applied there, I'll guarantee you are going to mess up that fastener. Even if it's the same size, even if it's a 14 or a 9/16, whatever, you're going to damage the fastener. It's going to happen. So don't use the multi-point, or they call them stars, okay? Don't use these sockets on 6-pointers. So, anyway, any questions, comments, feel free to leave them. I'll do my best to answer questions. I've got more tool videos coming up for you guys, more information on the stuff, and we'll just keep going with it. So, see you in the next one.